friends, welcome back to the channel. If you've spent even 10 minutes scrolling sewing machines online, you already know the problem. There are literally thousands of options, every single one claiming to be the best, and half of them are plastic-hearted disappointments hiding behind a shiny box. So today, I'm cutting through all of that noise. After decades at the machine, and after digging through what actual dealers, repair techs, and sewing communities are saying about these machines in 2026, I'm giving you my final list. Just 7 machines. 7 machines, across every budget, that are genuinely, certifiably worth your hard-earned money. Before we dive in, quick heads up. If you love this kind of deep dive content, and you want to actually master your machine instead of just owning one, I've put together a full training library called the Greatest Sewing Library Online. The link's in my bio if you ever want to check it out. Okay, no more delays, let's talk machines. Why worth it isn't the same as cheapest. Before I hand you the list, I want to set the ground rules because worth the money trips people up. It does not mean the cheapest machine you can find. A $40 no-name machine off a marketplace app is not worth the money, even at $40, because it'll jam, skip stitches, and die in a month. Worth the money means the price you pay matches the years of reliable service, the stitch quality, and the parts support you get back. Sometimes that's a $200 Singer. Sometimes that's a machine that costs as much as a used car. Both can be worth it, it just depends on what kind of Sewist you are and what you're actually going to sew. So here's how I built this list. I looked at build quality, metal frame versus plastic shell. I looked at long-term reliability because a machine that needs a repair tech every 6 months isn't saving you money, it's costing you more. I looked at parts and service network here in the United States because a gorgeous machine that nobody can service 2 years from now is a bad bet. And I looked at what real Sewists, quilters, garment makers, cosplayers, menders are actually saying about these machines after living with them, not just unboxing them. Let's get into it. Number 7. The budget workhorse. Singer Heavy Duty 4423/4432. We're starting at the bottom of the price ladder because worth the money absolutely applies to beginners too. And if you're brand new to sewing, or you just need a dependable machine for repairs, hemming, and simple home projects, the Singer Heavy Duty line, the 4423, and its slightly more feature-rich sibling, the 4432, earns its spot here. Here's why it works. These machines run around $150 to $250 depending on where you catch a sale, and for that money, you get a genuinely metal internal frame, a powerful motor that sews through denim and canvas without bogging down, and a stitch speed that outpaces most machines in its price class. It's not fancy. There's no touchscreen, no Wi-Fi, nothing to overthink. You get a set of solid straight and zigzag stitches, a buttonhole function, and a machine that a first-time Sewist can sit down with and actually finish a project on the same day they open the box. The trade-off is honest. The buttonhole isn't a one-step automatic on the base model, the stitch selection is basic, and it's not going to wow anyone with decorative embroidery stitches. But that's not the job it's doing. This is the machine you hand to a teenager learning to sew, or the machine you keep in a sewing room as the reliable backup that starts every single time you turn the dial. Multiple longtime reviewers and repair techs point to this exact line as the one they recommend when a beginner asks, "What should I actually buy?" Specifically because the metal frame keeps stitches consistent instead of flexing and throwing your tension off, which is the #1 thing that makes new Sewists blame themselves for a problem that's actually the machine. If you want to spend less than the price of a nice dinner out and walk away with something that will legitimately outlast a lot of pricier plastic machines, this is where you start. Number 6. The all-rounder, Brothers CS7000X. Moving up the ladder, we land on a machine that shows up on almost every credible best-of list in 2026, and for good reason, the Brothers CS7000X. This one typically runs somewhere in the $200 to $300 range, and it manages to balance something a lot of computerized machines get wrong. It gives you 70 built-in stitches, a wide extension table for quilting, and genuine metal frame stability, without piling on so many gimmicky features that the machine becomes confusing to actually use. What makes this one worth the money, specifically, is versatility. You're not locked into one type of project. Garment construction, quilting, home decor, costume work. The CS7000X handles all of it competently. It's got an automatic needle threader, which honestly should be standard on every machine at this point because threading by hand is where a lot of people's patience goes to die. It's got a drop-in top bobbin, which is dramatically easier for anyone still building confidence with tension and thread paths. And that wide table is a genuine game changer. If you've ever tried to wrestle a full-size quilt through a machine with a tiny throat space, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Independent testers who've run this machine through months of real sewing, not just a weekend review, consistently point to it as their go-to recommendation for most home sewists, specifically because the build quality, motor power, and accessory bundle actually match what people use day to day, rather than being a spec sheet that looks good in an ad. If you want one machine that can comfortably do a little bit of everything without you outgrowing it in 6 months, the CS7000X is an easy yes. Number 5. The unkillable mechanical, Janome HD3000. Now we're stepping into buy it once, own it forever territory with the Janome HD3000. This is a mechanical, dial-operated machine, and I want to be clear about what that means. There's no screen, no computer chip to eventually fail, nothing digital to go wrong. Just an aluminum die-cast body, honest mechanical dials, and 18 well-executed stitches that cover essentially everything a home sewist actually needs. Priced generally in the $250 to $350 range, this machine earns its spot because of something that's genuinely rare in this price bracket, an all-metal internal frame. That single detail is the difference between a machine that holds tension consistently for 20 years and a machine that starts skipping stitches after 20 months. Sewists who've owned one for years consistently describe it as the machine they set up once and simply trust, which, if you've ever fought with a temperamental machine mid-project, you know is worth paying for on its own. The buttonhole is a 4-step manual process instead of the 1-step automatic you'd get on a computerized model, and you won't find fancy embroidery stitches here. But that's the honest trade you're making. You're buying reliability and longevity over convenience features. For quilters, for garment makers who sew heavy fabrics like denim and canvas regularly, and for anyone who wants a machine that will still be running perfectly after their kids inherit it, the HD3000 more than earns its price tag. Number 4. The Straight Stitch Speed Demon, Juki TL-2000Qi. Okay, this next one is for a very specific type of sewist, and if that's you, you already know it. The Juki TL-2000Qi is a straight stitch-only machine, generally priced between $700 and $900, and I want to be upfront that it is not for beginners, and it is not trying to be a do-everything machine. It does one stitch. It just does that one stitch better and faster than almost anything else in a home sewing category. Here's what you're actually paying for: a top sewing speed of up to 1,500 stitches per minute, which is genuinely one of the fastest speeds available outside of true industrial machinery. An aluminum die-cast frame that absorbs vibration so the machine stays rock steady even at full throttle. A drop-feed switch for free motion quilting, a foot-controlled automatic thread trimmer that saves you a shocking amount of time over a full quilting session, and a 23-inch extended work area once you attach the included table, which makes wrangling a large quilt through the machine dramatically less of a wrestling match. Quilters and garment sewists who've put serious hours on this machine describe it as sitting somewhere between a domestic and an industrial machine, powerful enough to blow through thick layers and long straight seams, portable enough to still live in a home sewing room. Owners in the sewing community routinely compare it to owning a sports car: tight, precise, purpose-built. The catch, and it's a real one, is that single stitch limitation. You'll want a separate machine or a serger for zigzag, buttonholes, and finishing work. But if piecing quilts or sewing long, fast, accurate seams is your main event, this machine is worth every dollar. Number 3. The embroidery-capable hybrid, Baby Lock. Now let's talk about a brand that doesn't always get the spotlight it deserves in these conversations: Baby Lock. Depending on the model you land on, you're looking at anywhere from roughly $250 for an entry-level machine up to the $1,200 to $1,500 range for a machine like the Aurora, which brings genuine embroidery capability into the mix alongside standard sewing. What earns Baby Lock a spot on this list is a combination most brands don't nail simultaneously: approachable usability for newer sewists, paired with a build quality that holds up for people who sew constantly. Techs who spend their careers repairing and reselling machines consistently point out that Baby Lock's mid-range and higher models lead to noticeably higher customer satisfaction and fewer of the quiet, frustrating little failures that plague cheaper machines: tension drift, bobbin winding issues, motors that strain under heavier fabric. If embroidery is even a little bit on your radar, monogramming, applique, adding designs to garments or home decor, a Baby Lock combo machine lets you step into that world without buying a completely separate, dedicated embroidery-only machine. And because Baby Lock dealers tend to offer strong in-person classes and support, you're not left figuring out a complex machine entirely on YouTube tutorials at 9 at night, which, let's be honest, we've all done with a different brand of machine, and it is not fun. Number 2. The Swiss-engineered step-up, Bernina 3 Series. We're getting into serious investment territory now with the Bernina 3 Series, specifically the 325 and 335 models, which sit around the $1,000 mark, give or take, making them the most accessible entry point into the Bernina name. Let's talk about why Bernina commands the reputation it has. Every single Bernina, from this entry-level 3 Series all the way up to their flagship machines, is built around a metal chassis manufactured with genuine Swiss precision. This isn't marketing language. It's the actual reason people describe Bernina in the same breath as luxury cars. The 3 Series specifically weighs in at a light 17 pounds, making it realistic to carry to classes or retreats, while still packing a DC motor that sews at 900 stitches per minute smoothly through multiple fabric layers, without hesitation. You get an adjustable presser foot pressure dial, letting you fine-tune exactly how the foot interacts with thick fabric versus delicate silk, which is the kind of small detail that separates a machine built for consistent daily use from one built to look good on a shelf. Owners who've made the jump from a big-box machine to a Bernina 3 Series often describe the stitch quality as an entirely different experience: smoother, more precise, especially on tricky projects like invisible zippers and buttonholes. The honest limitation at this tier is a smaller harp space, which matters less if you're a garment maker and more if you're piecing large quilts, so know what you're buying it for. Bernina machines also hold their resale value remarkably well compared to most other brands, which matters more than people expect. When you eventually decide to upgrade, you're not just tossing money away, you're recovering a real chunk of what you originally paid. Number 1. The Lifetime Machine, Bernina 7 Series. And for the top of the list, the machine that represents worth the money at its most extreme, the Bernina 7 Series. We're talking a genuine investment here, generally starting in the neighborhood of several $1,000s, climbing higher depending on how you configure it. And yes, that number is going to make some of you close this video right now. But stay with me, because I want to explain exactly who this machine is actually worth it for. This is the machine dedicated quilters and professional-level garment makers describe as the one they'll never need to replace. It's built with the same all-metal internal architecture as every Bernina, but at this tier you get their most advanced stitch regulation technology, a genuine marvel of engineering that keeps stitch length perfectly consistent even during free-motion quilting, something that takes most Sewists years of practice to do manually with a lesser machine. You get a significantly larger harp space for wrangling big quilts, sophisticated automatic tension systems that adjust as you switch fabric types, and a build quality rated for decades of near-daily heavy use, not occasional hobby sewing. Here's the honest math on why this machine earns its spot on a worth-the-money list rather than just being an expensive flex. If you sew constantly, I mean truly constantly, as a business, as a serious quilting practice, as your primary creative outlet, the cost per year of ownership on a machine like this, spread across a decade or two of reliable service with minimal repair costs, actually rivals what you'd spend nickel-and-diming through 2 or 3 cheaper machines that wear out and get replaced. It's not a machine for someone sewing a few times a month. It is absolutely the right machine for someone whose living room, whose small business, or whose entire creative identity runs through their sewing machine every single day. So there you have it, 7 machines, 7 very different budgets, and every single one of them genuinely worth what you'd pay for it, as long as it matches how you actually sew. Start with the Singer Heavy Duty, or the Brothers CS7000X if you're new. Step up to the Janome HD3000 or the Juki TL-2000Qi, once you know exactly what kind of sewing you love. And if sewing has become a full-blown passion or a business, the baby lock and Bernina options are where your money finally starts working as hard as you do. If this kind of breakdown actually helped you narrow things down, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more sewists exactly like you. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I've got a lot more machine deep dives, technique breakdowns, and buying guides coming your way. And drop a comment below and tell me, which one of these 7 is on your wish list right now? I read every single comment, and I'd love to know where you're at in your sewing journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy sewing!